Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we continue to follow the emotional story of the single mother lythica and the policeman Hung, a love that has only just begun, yet already carries so many challenges. Since the day they decided to live together under one roof, both have tried to build a modest home filled with the laughter of Tony, the innocent little boy, and the warmth of the meals that Hoai always cooks. But behind that peaceful facade lies a picture full of contradictions. Though strong, Hoai often worries when she sees Hung return from long shifts, his eyes heavy with concern. She understands the weight he carries, not only the responsibility of being a police officer, but also the burden of providing for a small family that now depends on him. At work, Hung has repeatedly received directives from his superiors demanding a clear choice: either accept reassignment and leave the land and loved ones he knows, or relinquish his uniform, giving up the dream he has fought for over so many years. For Hung, both paths are painful. Ahead lies the career he sees as his life's calling, behind him, a fragile new home, where a woman waits for him through stormy nights and a child longs to call him father. Hoai understands all the struggles within Hung, yet she herself is caught in conflict. On one hand, she hopes he can hold on to his pride and ideals, so he will not regret it later. On the other hand, the heart of a mother longs for a man's shoulder by her side, someone to help her care for Tony. After the losses she has endured, what she fears most is separation. In recent days, the atmosphere in their small house has grown heavy. During meals, they speak little, but a single glance is enough to show they are both hiding their own worries. At night, when Tony is fast asleep, Hoai silently watches Hung sit at the table, gripping his police badge tightly. She knows it is more than a keepsake, it is his youth, his pride. And she wonders, am I being selfish, hoping he will set it all aside for this little family? Meanwhile, Hung is tormented by another struggle. He does not want Hoai to suffer any more pain, yet he cannot easily abandon his dream. Between love and career, he stands at a crossroads where every path carries loss. Will Hung have the courage to make a decision? Can this budding love withstand its first storm, a test of trust, sacrifice, and responsibility? The answers remain unknown, but they could change both of their lives forever. Stay tuned until the end of today's episode to witness the moment Hung faces his destiny, to remain with his small family, or to continue on the path of ideals he has pursued from the very beginning. When Hung received the phone call from his department, he was nearly paralyzed. The voice on the other end was firm and decisive, demanding that he appear immediately that very morning to clarify his leave request and the transfer order. Each step felt unbearably heavy, as though he were walking into a courtroom of fate. His heart pounded violently, filled with fear and unease, because he knew this meeting could change his entire future. The office door creaked open. Hung walked in slowly. Sitting behind the desk was not the old commander who had guided him for years, but a newly appointed leader recently transferred in. His face was stern, his eyes scanning the file on the desk before lifting to meet Hung's gaze. "You're Hung?" The man's deep voice rang out. "I've read your request for leave. But, by law, that's impossible." The atmosphere in the room grew heavy. Hung swallowed hard, his palms clenching so tightly they began to sweat. The leader continued, each word striking Hung's chest like a hammer. "Regulations are regulations. Once the term is over, you must be transferred. No exceptions, no special cases. I cannot sign this request." Hung lowered his head in silence. All his hopes, to stay, to fulfill his duty while still protecting the fragile home he had with Hoai and Tony, began to crumble in that moment. Seeing his expression, the leader shifted his tone slightly, though his voice remained firm. "I know you have personal circumstances, but wearing this uniform means putting the fatherland above all else. Accept the transfer. Continue as a policeman. Do not think about quitting. Once you let go, the road back will not be so easy. The silence in the office stretched endlessly. The ticking of the clock grew louder, as if urging him on. Hung lifted his eyes, torn by a violent struggle, his heart suffocated by a storm of thoughts. He said nothing, only stood there, as if his whole being had fallen into a void with no escape. As the meeting moved into its crucial stage, the new leader placed the file back on the desk. His voice was slow but resolute. As for your request for temporary leave, at this time, I cannot approve it. Staffing is short, many positions need to be filled, so there is no reason to allow you to step away from your duty. If you refuse the transfer order, then there's only one option left: submit a resignation, so the department can arrange for someone else to take your place. Those words sent Hung's heart plunging into a void. He froze, sweat breaking across his forehead. One path meant resigning completely, closing the chapter of 10 years side by side with his comrades, abandoning the pride of his uniform. The other meant accepting relocation, leaving behind the fragile home he had just built with Hoai and the child who needed him most. Both roads seemed precarious, both leading him into a dead end. Seeing Hung's silence, the new leader softened his tone. His gaze no longer carried strictness alone, but also a trace of empathy. I know you have your own difficulties. Everyone does. No one can choose a road lined only with roses. But in this job, sacrifice is part of the duty. My advice to you: think carefully. Don't cling forever to the past, learn how to adapt. Life never stops to wait for us. Those words echoed in Hung's mind like a tolling bell. A sting burned at the bridge of his nose as memories of his 10 years in uniform flooded back, countless shifts, life and death missions, comrades who had stood shoulder to shoulder with him. This job was never just a profession, it was his entire life. He had never imagined the day would come when he would face the possibility of leaving it all behind. His chest tightened, his eyes clouded with regret, torn between wanting to hold on and the urge to let go. His heart was being pulled in two directions, one toward ideals, the other toward love. And in that moment, Hung realized he was standing at the harshest crossroads of his life, where every choice would leave an indelible scar. After the tense exchange, the new leader closed the file and delivered his final words like an ultimatum. The schedule has already been set. Next Monday, you must report to your new unit and begin your duties. That means you have exactly 1 week to think it over. If you decide to continue as a policeman, prepare yourself and arrange your handover. But if you choose to resign completely, inform us within this week so we can promptly reassign and coordinate personnel. Consider your answer very carefully. Hung bowed his head slightly, his voice low. I understand. Thank you, sir, for giving me time. He rose, saluted according to regulation, then quietly turned to leave. In his hand, besides the stack of papers, was an old certificate of merit given to him by his former commander. The sheet of paper might seem simple, yet it was proof of all the years he had lived, fought, and struggled alongside his comrades to protect the peace of the people. Stepping out of the office doors, Hung felt his shoulders grow twice as heavy. Memories of overnight shifts, high-speed chases, and life-or-death moments at the front lines suddenly rushed back. He remembered the trusting eyes of the people, the grateful handshakes, and all of it pierced his heart with pain. Now, standing before the choice of leaving it all behind, Hung felt utterly hollow. 10 years of service, and now only 1 week to decide. 1 week to ask himself, can I live another life, no longer a policeman in uniform, no longer walking through these station doors each morning? Amid the chaos of emotions, the image of Hoai and Tony appeared vividly in his mind. He thought of Hoai's anxious yet gentle gaze, of Tony's bright smile when calling out Uncle Hung. Those memories slowed his steps. He could not bear to part from them, nor could he bring himself to sacrifice the fragile home they had just begun to build. That evening, the sky itself seemed heavy, great clouds blanketing the horizon, the wind howling through the streets. Hung walked slowly along the familiar road, waging a different battle inside, a battle against himself, where every thought, every memory, every emotion pulled him in a different direction. That day, Hoai did not go out to the fields as usual. She decided to stay home, spending the entire morning tidying up the garden behind the house. Since returning to live here, she had not yet had a chance to care for the garden, which had been left neglected for a long time. Weeds grew thick, dry leaves covered the paths, and the roots of old trees tangled everywhere, creating a heavy, suffocating feeling. Taking off her outer jacket, Hoai rolled up her sleeves, picked up a hoe and pruning shears, and began her work. Each strike of the hoe, each snip of the shears seemed to release part of the worries weighing on her heart. Once she had cleared a corner of the yard, she brought out some plants she had just bought from the market, a few young shade trees, and some bougainvillea vines she hoped would one day bloom in vibrant colors, bringing peace and warmth to her family's garden. While she was bent over planting, a familiar voice called from the gate. Turning around, she saw it was Hoai's mother, the neighbor who used to be very close to her family. The older woman carried a small basket of gifts, smiling gently as she stepped inside. "Seeing you at home, I thought I'd stop by for a bit. It's been a long time since we've had a chat." The two women sat happily together at the bamboo table on the porch, sipping tea as they talked. After a few casual questions, Hoai slowly began to share the troubles she had been carrying. Her voice softened, her eyes tinged with worry. "Auntie, honestly, things have been very difficult lately. Hung's work is in trouble. He submitted a request for temporary leave, but it wasn't approved. Now, either he accepts a transfer or resigns completely. I know he's torn, he doesn't want to leave me and Tony, but he also can't bear to give up the profession he's devoted so many years to. I really don't know how to advise him." Hoai's mother listened in silence for a moment, then nodded. She gently set her teacup on the table, her voice calm. "Being a policeman with a position like Hung's is not easy to come by. Outsiders may see only the uniform and the rank, but to hold that post requires years of perseverance. If he gives it up, returning later will be very difficult. My advice, Hoai, is to encourage him to continue on his path. Everyone has hardships, but what matters is determination." Hoai sighed softly, her eyes falling on the newly planted pots in the yard. In her heart, the older woman's words added another weight. She knew how deeply Hung loved his work, and she herself did not want him to lose the ideals he had built over a decade. Yet when she thought of him being forced to live apart from their fragile home, her heart ached. Amid the garden still scattered with soil and roots, the two women sat together in quiet sharing. One was seasoned with life's trials, the other just stepping into her own, but in their eyes there was a profound sympathy for the difficult choice Hung now faced. While Hoai and Mrs. Ha were chatting on the porch, Hung's figure appeared at the gate. Parking his motorbike neatly in a corner, he stepped inside with a contemplative look, his face clearly showing the fatigue from a tense day at work. The moment he saw Mrs. Ha, Hung immediately bowed politely. "Good afternoon, Auntie. I just got back from the station." Mrs. Ha nodded, her eyes warm and kind. "Ah, you're home, Hung. I was just talking with Hoai. Come sit down, have a cup of hot tea with me to warm yourself." Hung pulled out a chair and sat beside Hoai. He glanced at her, catching the worried look in her eyes. The silence lingered only briefly before Mrs. Ha broke it, her tone both caring and probing. "I heard from Hoai about your situation. Did they give you any decision regarding your leave request? Hung let out a quiet sigh and placed the old certificate of merit he was still holding onto the table. His voice was steady, though heavy. No, they didn't approve my temporary leave. They only gave me 1 week to decide, either continue serving and take the post at the new unit, or resign altogether. Honestly, I don't know what to choose, Auntie. My heart is in turmoil. He paused, his gaze softening as he turned to Hoai. I care deeply for Hoai and Tony. I don't want to be far from them. And I still want to stay close so I can find a way to reclaim this house. It's the result of so much effort and struggle in the past. I can't bear to let it go. The air fell into silence for a few moments. Hoai clenched her hands tightly on her lap, her eyes glistening but composed. Mrs. Ha slowly placed her frail hand on Hung's shoulder, her voice gentle yet firm. Hung, I understand your heart. But don't weigh yourself down too much with this house. A home can always be rebuilt. In the future, when your career is stable, you could have one even finer and better than before. The most important thing is not to abandon the career you've devoted 10 years of your life to. At that moment, Hoai also spoke softly, her voice trembling but resolute. I feel the same, just like Auntie said. I don't want you to give up your work, your ideals, because of me, because of Tony, or even because of this house. No matter how hard it gets, we can always rebuild together from the start. Hearing their words, Hung's heart clenched painfully. He looked into the eyes of the two women before him, one seasoned by life, the other the woman he loved. Both were telling him the same thing, both urging him to hold on to the path he had fought for all these years. Outside, the evening wind rustled through the garden, leaves whispering, and birds called to one another in the distance. The sounds mingled with the silence weighing on the little house. Hung sat there, his hands interlaced, his eyes fixed on the ground, as if two opposing currents within him were pulling his heart in different directions. After Mrs. Ha left, only the two of them remained in the small house. Hoai gently pulled Hung to sit with her on the porch, where the newly planted pots still carried the scent of damp soil. The air was quiet, broken only by the wind rustling through the leaves. She looked at Hung for a long moment, her eyes filled with tenderness mixed with worry. Hung, her voice soft, yet firm, I know your heart is torn in many directions. But I want to make this clear, so you can feel at ease. No matter if you're near or far, my heart will always belong to you. Wherever you go, whatever you do, I'll stand by you with all my love and faith. Hung remained silent, his eyes trembling. He wanted to speak, but his throat tightened. Hoai went on, placing her hand over his, warm and steady. If you must work far away, you can still come back to visit me and Tony on weekends. Don't worry too much about us. The two of us can take care of each other. What I fear most isn't distance, it's seeing you give up your career and your dreams because of me and Tony. I don't want that. She paused, drawing a deep breath, her tone more heartfelt. I want you to hold on to the path you've built all these years. Both you and Tony need a strong foundation. And I believe that if you continue your career, our family will be stronger in the future. Tony and I will be your rear guard, so you can move forward without hesitation. Her words, gentle yet weightier than anything Hung had ever heard, burned into his heart. His chest grew hot, his eyes stung. Images of Hoai flashed in his mind, a woman who had endured so much pain, yet remained resilient, always thinking of him before herself. Hung clasped her hand tightly, his voice hoarse. Hoai. I don't even know what to say. You've given me more than I could ever deserve. All I know is, no matter what happens, I will never forget this love. In that moment, gratitude and emotion surged within Hung, filling him with newfound strength, but also deepening the torment of the decision he had to make in the coming week. After listening quietly, Mrs. Hoai slowly set her teacup down on the table. Her gentle eyes shone with caution as she looked at Hung. Her voice was calm yet firm. Hung, this isn't something you can decide hastily. Take the time to think it through carefully. Whatever choice you make will affect both your career path and your little family. All I hope is that, when you do decide, it will be the wisest choice for your future. Hung nodded, his voice lowering, carrying the weight of unspoken sorrow. I understand, Auntie. I promise you, and Hoai, I'll think carefully before making my final decision. And, all I hope is that, whatever I choose, I'll still have everyone's support. Hung's words tightened around Hoai's heart like a binding rope. She fell silent, her gaze fixed on him, her eyes glistening with complex emotions. In that moment, they looked at each other, eyes filled with love and the desire to hold on, but behind it all lay a deep pain neither had the courage to speak aloud. Hoai bit her lip gently, hiding the unease within. She didn't want Hung to see her fear, didn't want to add to his burden. Hung, too, forced a faint smile, pretending to be calm, while his heart writhed in torment. The space sank into stillness. Outside, the evening breeze rustled through the garden leaves, like endless whispers. Amid that silence, the two of them sat side by side, exchanging looks seemingly brimming with affection, yet concealing countless unspoken sorrows deep within. So then, what choice will Hung make? On one side lies his career, the path he has devoted his entire youth to, with all his effort and ideals still burning bright. On the other side lies love, the small home with Hoai and Tony, where he has found peace after so many storms. Will he have the strength to balance both, to preserve the green of his uniform while not losing the love he holds so dearly? Or will distance, time, and the trials ahead become barriers that shake that fragile bond? Will Hung choose his ideals, the shining career that awaits him, or will he choose to stay by the side of the woman he has vowed to protect forever? And if there is a third path, a path that reconciles both, will he be able to find it? Everything remains a mystery. Stay tuned for the next episode to witness the unexpected turns that await.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay mình tiếp tục đưa mọi người đến với video về mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Hôm nay thì ở trong video sẽ có nhiều tình tiết khá là bất ngờ, bởi vì mọi người cũng đã biết là Hùng đã đang tạm thời xin nghỉ công việc cảnh sát. Tuy nhiên thì một cấp trên mới đã về và đã đưa ra tối hậu thư cho anh rằng anh buộc phải quyết định giữa việc tiếp tục đi làm và nghỉ hẳn, chứ không có việc là sẽ tạm nghỉ, và chỉ còn 1 tuần nữa để quyết định, vì vào thứ Hai tuần tới Hùng sẽ phải bắt đầu công tác ở nơi mới. Nếu như anh không đi làm thì cần phải báo trước để cơ quan có thể luân chuyển người khác. Vậy thì Hùng sẽ quyết định như thế nào giữa việc tiếp tục làm cảnh sát và việc ở bên cạnh Hoài Ca và Tony? Vì nếu tiếp tục làm cảnh sát thì anh phải rời đi rất là xa. Hoài Ca thì luôn ủng hộ anh tiếp tục công việc, không muốn vì cô mà anh phải hy sinh sự nghiệp của mình. Mọi chuyện thì sẽ ra sao? Mời mọi người đón xem ở tập sau nha.